God is, I am right here, right now, right here, right now. God is, I am. God is, I am. Right here, right now. Right here, right now. God is, I am.
As we sit together, gathering in a celebration of this thing that we call God, this principle, this intelligence, this loving energy in which we move and have our being, we know that God is all there is. We are swimming in an ocean of godliness. Each one of us is a point of this intelligence. We know that we can have complete faith in it, complete confidence. And we don't know this just intellectually. We know it, we feel it within. We see it around us in everything, always. This changeless reality of good. This assured presence. I know that I am one with it. I'm its creation, and it expresses through me as me. So I have complete faith that my world, my experiences are good and very good. I embrace life with open arms, knowing that I am always supported by this goodness that I can tap to at any time. I know that I cannot completely explain how my beingness is and comes about, but I have complete faith that there is an intelligence that lives as me, through me, and I allow it to do so. I am grateful for this opportunity to have this gathering called the Center for Spiritual Living, as it provides me with the tools to make informed faith in expressing the God within. So I enter this sacred time of our Sunday service with an open mind and an open heart, always open to learning more, embracing new ideas, new thoughts, to allow me to live life from this state of good and love. I am grateful for this knowledge and this opportunity. I have complete faith in it. And with that, I release my word into this invisible intelligence that supports me in everything. And together we affirm. And so it is.
God is, I am, right here, right now, right here, right now. God is, I am. God is,
And from this place of openness, open-heartedness, thank you, Pele, for that beautiful treatment. Thank you, Sonia, for the beautiful song. We repeat together our vision and mission statements, and we do this every week as well, so that we begin to embody the idea of it. So let's say together our vision statement. The Calgary Center for Spiritual Living is a beacon of spiritual illumination that inspires individuals to reveal their wholeness, co-creating a world that works for everyone. I'd like you to think about those words, a world that works for everyone, as we contemplate the things that are going on in the world right now. There are people who are not believing that the world is working for them. We just need to send those people love, peace, understanding, because that's what a world that works for everyone looks like. And let's say together our mission statement, because this is how we do this. The Calgary Center for Spiritual Living makes accessible a way of living and thinking that reveals one's spiritual magnificence and personal power. We co-create an inclusive community that fosters an expansion of consciousness. Other keywords there's so many in there, but the co-creation aspect. We're not islands. We're not doing it all by ourselves. We are connected. Not only are we connected to the divine, absolutely, but we are connected to one another. There's a Hindu myth about Indira's net. It was like a spider web, and each person represents a jewel or a gem on the web. And when one is messed with, the whole web is affected. Or when one is loved, the whole world is affected. That's co-creation, and that's what we're here for. So thank you, my darlings, my beauties. Always, yes. Would you breathe with me, please? Taking a deep breath. And again. And one more time, please. That's an illustration of that Indira's web. I was just talking about that breathing together, that opportunity to breathe in the inspiration, inspire, in spirit when we breathe together. We are inspiring. Yeah. So in this center, as you know, we have people of many faiths. We have die-hard New Thoughters like me. Any other die-hard New Thoughters, religious scientists in the room? Yeah. We have a lot of people who consider themselves Christian, and yet they love our open-mindedness. They love our message of positive thinking. We have few former Catholics. Any former Catholics in the room? Recovering Catholics, they sometimes refer to themselves. Yeah. We have Jews who go to temple on Friday night and then come here for service on Sunday. We have people with an Eastern bent, kind of going toward Buddhism, kind of going through Hinduism. We have people who follow earth-based traditions like pagans and the red path. We have people who want spirituality but don't want any sort of the dogma that goes along with organized religion. Anybody here? Yeah, most of the room, you bet. And we have people who don't know what they are. But they do, seriously, but it's just like, I want to be in the energy. This place feels good. Does this place feel good? This place feels good as soon as you walk in the door. So we are what I like to call an equal opportunity faith tradition. And regardless of our beliefs and regardless of our traditions, there is something that absolutely binds us together, that unites us. I call it the life force energy. It is just that something. It is that thing where we're all connected, knowing that we are all coming from the same source. So on Sunday, you may hear me quote often Ernest Holmes, who's our founder. I'll tell Bible stories. I tell them very poorly, but I give it a shot. It's not my book, so that's just the truth. I'll quote Oprah. I'll quote my mother. I'll quote Buddha. I'll quote Einstein. Some of the best quotes are from Einstein. I even quote Homer Simpson sometimes. True story. Because truth is truth, no matter who said it and no matter where it comes from. For instance, here is one of those Bible stories, truths that I was talking about. So this husband and wife are having an argument and about who's going to make the coffee in the morning. And he says, you should make the coffee. And she says, no, absolutely not. You should make the coffee. It says so in the Bible. And he said, really? And she gets out the Bible and she says, yes, Hebrews. Sorry, guys. So because most of us were raised in a Judeo-Christian tradition, whether it was Judaism or Islam or Christianity, that's what's most familiar to us. So it's particularly fun at this time of the year because we got all kinds of holy days, all kinds of things to celebrate at this time of the year. Obviously, we've got Hanukkah, we've got the winter solstice coming up, we've got Christmas. So in keeping with those roots, today we're going to celebrate Hanukkah, otherwise known as the Festival of Lights. And we're going to look at the story. It's a cool story. And we're going to look at the metaphysical meaning, because we always do that. And then we're going to light the menorah and have some blessings. You guys up for that? Yeah, I thought so. So I want to tell you that I've always been pretty fascinated by the whole Hanukkah thing. Because when I was a kid, and I found out that Jewish kids got 8 presents for Hanukkah, I thought that was really cool. I mean, you add to the fact that my birthday is Christmas Eve, and so I have to wait like a really, really long time in between presents, right? Hanukkah sounded really, really good to me. And I thought it was like a big Jewish holiday. But the truth is, it's not one of the biggies in Judaism. It is not one of the biggies. The really, really important Jewish holidays or holy days are Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, and I think that those usually are in September, right around September. They're called the High Holy Days, and it's a really, really big deal in Judaism. And Hanukkah has become kind of a big deal because of its proximity here in the North America, its proximity to Christmas. And so it's like, okay, yeah, let's just kind of put all our holidays together. This is very common. You understand? You know, our Christmas traditions come from pagan. So we'll talk about that another time. But you know what? Kind of amalgamating holidays, that's what we do that a lot. So the reason why the dates change for Hanukkah, whereas Christmas is always December 25th. I was about to say 24th, but that's my birthday. Okay, yes. I'm very holy. Christmas is always on December 25th, but Hanukkah changes because it's based on the lunar calendar, whereas we follow, here in the Western world, we follow the Gregorian calendar. So let me tell you about the Hanukkah story. Are you ready? I actually really like this story. It's most likely a myth because, let's face it, most of the ancient stories that we were brought up with are based on maybe a little bit of truth, but mostly like mythological. It's like the game of telephone. You guys ever play that game Whereas I'll go, okay, here's what happened. And by the time it gets to the other end, it's changed completely. So chances are the Hanukkah story, like the Christmas story, which we're going to talk about next week, are probably mythical in a lot of ways. It's still a wonderful story. It's a story of celebration. It's a story of the triumph of good, and has a few miracles thrown in. And this is a time of miracles, right? Virgin birth, angels flying, fat man in red suit bringing presents to everybody. Okay, you know what? A lot of miracles. Well, Hanukkah has the same. Hanukkah has a few of them. So back in the day, the land of Judah, which is where modern-day Jerusalem is, was ruled over by the evil Syrian Greek king by the name of Antiochus. And Antiochus ordered that all of the people would worship his Greek gods, and he forbade anybody to practice their religious customs that were different from that, or to study the Torah or anything like this. And to make matters worse, they went into the temple and they removed all of the Jewish symbols and replaced them with their pagan symbols. And this was considered to be a very desecration by the Jews. So they got together a band of resistance fighters called the Maccabees. And they went to battle against Antiochus and his evil army. And this was unbelievably risky because there were tons of Syrian Greeks and they were super well armed. And then there was just this little band of the Maccabees, right? And yet, against all odds, the Maccabees won the battle and they drove the Syrian Greeks out of Judah. I know. It's the first, but not the only miracle of Hanukkah. That this small band of incredibly dedicated people would overcome this larger, better equipped army. You'd almost think that they were relying on a higher power or something, right? Well, what we teach from a metaphysical standpoint is that good with a capital G will always triumph over perceived evil. Now, I need to talk a little bit about evil. That's why I'm using my quote fingers here. Because in this teaching, we don't really believe in evil. We understand that people may act in evil ways or in misguided ways, but there isn't an entity, there isn't a force of evil. Because if there were, then that would suppose that there was something other than God. And our teaching is that God is all there is. So there can't be something other than God. It is people acting in a misguided, misaligned way. Are you with me so far? Okay, Ernest Holmes put it this way. Evil has no ultimate reality. There is no power opposed to God, the good. Evil is sometimes thought to be a very real thing, but it has no vitality, no life, because it can always be destroyed by truth with a capital T. And anytime I say with a capital, it means some aspect of the divine. So evil can always be destroyed or overcome by truth. So what we believe here is that good is the prevailing impulse of the universe. And that those who are acting in an evil way are simply out of alignment with their truth, out of alignment with good. So in the Hanukkah story, it appears that the Maccabees were in alignment with good. Are you following me so far? They weren't trying to take over anybody's religion. They were just trying to defend their right to worship their God their way. So that has got to be in alignment with this creative principle that is flowing. And it's all about freedom. And it's all about self-expression. That's why we're here. So it wasn't that God was favoring the Jews over the Syrian Greeks. It was that they were in alignment. They were in the flow, so to speak. So let's go back to the story. It's a good story. After the Jews had driven Antiochus and his group out of Jerusalem, they went into the temple to pray. And what they found was awful. The place had been trashed. There were pagan symbols everywhere. All of their artifacts, all of their sacred things had been removed or destroyed. And so according to Jewish law, everything had to be energetically purified by sacred oil. But the problem was they found that all the oil that was in the temple had been desecrated as well. There was only a super small little part, a vessel of oil, tiny little, enough to light the menorah for only one day. And it would take 8 days to purify oil in order to finish the ritual of purification. Well, this is where the story gets cool. In complete faith, not knowing what to expect, when they went ahead and lit the menorah, but still believing in the possibility of a miracle, they lit the menorah with the tiny little bit of oil that they had found that was pure. And guess what happened? It stayed lit for 8 days. And it is that miracle that the Jews celebrate at Hanukkah, called the Festival of Lights, because the menorah stayed lit for 8 days, 8 days to purify new oil, and the menorah stayed lit for 8 days. What a cool story. And it's those 8 days that get celebrated when and kids get presents. See, that's what I was jealous about. They got a present. But it's all about celebrating God's abundance. But there's a really important point to make here, is that the Jews of those time did not just sit around and hope that their prayers would be answered. They went about their business, started cleaning up the temple, started purifying the oil. They were doing what was in front of them to do. They took action, even though they were praying for this miracle. And if you think about this, this is what our whole teaching, our spiritual mind treatment is based on, that we do our treatment with the expectation that we are going to have a demonstration of some sort. So we go and we do our business. It's called spiritual mind treatment. Our phrase is treat and move your feet. In other words, think the right thoughts, get your thinking in order, and then move ahead, take action. Just don't sit around in a lotus position. I don't think they called them lotus positions back in the days of Judah, but just not, come on, you guys, that was funny. They're not just sitting, waiting for something to happen. They did their work with the expectation, with the expectancy that their prayers would be answered. So that's what we are encouraged to do as well, to say our prayers, to do our spiritual work, and then continue on with our lives, doing what the next indicated thing is. Because answered prayer happens when we're moving, not when we're just sitting around waiting for things to happen. And here's another cool thing about this, is that when we receive the answer to our prayer, or the demonstration, we call it demonstration, when we have received our demonstration to our prayer, what happens is it builds faith. You know, it's like, okay, I'll try that. Oh, wow, that was cool. Okay, my faith is a little bit more. Oh, okay, so let me try it now. Oh, my faith is a little bit more. So it begins to build faith and build faith. Is this making sense to you? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And the more faith we build, the more powerful our prayers are, right? It builds. If you want to know more about this, take the foundations class. Because what we know is this, faith is this amazingly creative tool. Faith and belief causes things to happen. It moves the energy. Just ask the Maccabees, who beat the big giant Syrian Greeks. They had faith. And the last thing that I want to talk about here is about supply. Because that oil lasted for 8 days because it came from an infinite, limitless source. Yes? How it really burned for 8 days, we don't know. Like I said, it's a myth. It's a story. We don't know. But according to the story, it stayed lit for 8 days. So somehow what happened is that their faith accessed an infinite well. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Accessed that infinite well of good, that limitless supply that is within each of us, and we each of us have access to it, but are we actually putting our wick into this infinite well? That is the question. Because we've all been through a time where we feel like we're running on empty. But just like at the temple, that we're able to reach down inside of ourselves and to access that well, to really put our wick, to bring that oil up, to fill ourselves back up. Yes? Yeah. We need to tap into that limitless source, which is nothing less than God, Spirit, life, love, the infinite, universe, whatever you want to call it. That's why we're here. And that's where the true miracle is. The fact that we do have within us this limitless source. This limitless source. We just need to tap into it. We tap into it with faith. We believe that it's there. And we don't allow any thought to the contrary. We believe it. Another Jew, whose birth we're going to talk about next week, as he became a man, said something along the lines of, "It is done unto you as you believe." So what we're going to do now is that we're going to light the candles of the menorah in celebration of Hanukkah. And what I want to tell you is that this is not done, this is not how it's done traditionally. Traditionally is you light one candle each night and get presents. Okay, no, I got to get over that, I realize. But one candle each night, but we haven't been here for 8 nights, right? And so what we're going to do symbolically is to light all 8 of the candles. We're going to do it together. And while this is going on, what I want you to do, as you're observing this, and we've got a really special thing here coming up, I want you to reflect on how you can tap that infinite well. I want you to reflect on finding, believing, knowing, having faith that well is there, that limitless source is there. And I invite you to allow your own inner light to be lit up and shine a little brighter, shine a little larger than you thought was possible. And so I know my 2 helpers are here. Would you all come up, Yale and Paul? Both these men were raised in the Jewish tradition and celebrated Hanukkah. Oh, wonderful. Huh? Okay. I got to get the microphone. Hold on. You're going to be very careful, aren't you? Yeah. I knew that. So please welcome, this is Yale Gelfand, Paul, I know that. I have it written here, Paul Forgang. Yep. And while that's being lit, they're going to do a Jewish celebration, a Jewish prayer. Here you go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Asan nisim lavotenu hayamim hahem balazman hazeh. The first prayer is about commandments of God, about lighting candles. And the second prayer is about commandments of God to carry out prayer services as it's been done over the centuries, many generations. There's another prayer that we say on the first night that we aren't saying now that has to do with thanking God for taking us to another season. So there's actually three, but the last thing that I just said is only said on the first night.
Thank you. Thank you. Give them a hand. Thank you. Wait, stay. I want you to stay up here for just a second. Could somebody get a picture of this, please? Somebody have their camera. I'd really like to post this on Facebook.
Rabbi's hat.
Rabbi means teacher. It's not out of the question.
Can we get Hanukkah guild now from?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's go within, shall we? And let's think about what it means to shine our light. Whether we're shining it as part of a celebration of an ancient story and an ancient ritual, or whether we're shining it because it is who we are. Light is always an aspect of the divine, therefore it is always an aspect of who we are. And so I encourage all of us as we go out into the world after today's service, knowing a little bit more about perhaps a holiday we didn't know about, that we see light in everyone. We see light in the guy on the highway that has crossed the line. We see light in the harried waitress or the store clerk. We see the light in every person, and we exchange that light with them. They may not even know what we're doing, but as seeing and acknowledging their light, we are not only making their light brighter, but we are also, in sharing our light, making our light brighter. I give thanks for this truth. I know it is the truth. I let it be so. And join with me in saying, and so it is. So it is. All right. Are you guys ready? It's just you. I kind of want to keep them lit. Yes? Okay, let me do this. Would you, Oliver? Just bring it down front. Before the kids come. Thanks, sweetie.
So when Pat told me what she was going to be talking about today, I spent a bunch of time searching for a song to do, a song that someone had written that seemed on point, and I kept finding nothing. And so one day, all of a sudden, I thought, maybe I'll just write one. So bear with me. I'm very nervous because I wrote this song this week for this day and for this talk. I can feel it in the morning when a song pours from my lips. It often happens without warning, like a daydream or secret first kiss. Well, I've been around a while now. Seems nothing happens just for show. And if I I forget my place here. I just look at my daughters and I know there is something, there is power in my word. I am placed where I am needed and I hear what must be heard. I keep my eyes wide open, make sure not to miss a thing, 'cause there's magic in believing and so many songs to sing. Have you ever had the feeling you've been pushed onto a certain path? May not have chosen that direction, but now it seems you found your way at last. There is something, there is power in your word. You are placed where you are needed and you hear what must be heard. You keep those eyes wide open, make sure not to miss a thing, 'cause there's magic in believing and so many songs to sing. There is eyes wide open, make sure not to miss a thing, 'cause there's magic in believing and so many songs to sing. Then there's those times the light gets in just where you need it the most. I have one question: how did the light know? There's gotta be something, there's so much power in my word. We are placed where we are needed and we hear what must be heard. Let's keep our eyes wide open, make sure not to miss a thing, 'cause there's magic in believing and so many songs to sing. There is something, there is power in my word. I am placed where I am needed and I hear what must be heard. I'll keep my eyes wide open, try not to miss a thing, 'cause there's magic in believing and so many songs to sing. There is something in my heart. I am placed where I am needed, and I've known it from the start. I'll keep my eyes wide open, make sure not to miss a thing, 'cause there's magic in believing and so many songs to sing. Oh, thank you.
Sonia DeLeo. Dang, girl. Woo! You guys want to go on up?